Gatorade.
Supreme accessories. As you can see, got a few over here that I've collected over the years. And for whatever reason, these seemingly innocuous objects with this red and white logo does something to the collector that just gets us excited. Supreme over the years has really made a name for themselves for sticking their logo on a variety of different items, from household items, sportswear, clothing, accessories. Anything they think people will buy with their name on it, they will sell it to us at a 20 to 50% premium, and we eat it up all day. So in this video, I'm cataloging the 10 best Supreme accessories of all time to show you guys the history of some of the items Supreme has created and really get across that Supreme can return to some great accessories. Because let's be real, it hasn't been amazing for the past few years, but I know with their catalog, they can get back to it maybe as soon as spring, summer 2025. Let's go find out. First things first, I got a couple ground rules for the accessories that I'm going to be talking about in this video. The first one is no free gifts. So I'm not going to be talking about things like the Supreme toothpicks, beach ball, parachute man, any things like that. That could be its own video and is an interesting idea, but I don't want to talk about things that were given to us for free for just shopping with Supreme. Next, I'm not going to be discussing any skate decks. While I do love Supreme's skate decks, and they are obviously such an iconic part of their heritage being first and foremost a skate brand, I don't think that really lends itself to the point of this video, given that the art on the decks is extremely subjective to each individual person, and it'll most likely be a collection of the oldest Supreme decks that are rare and expensive. And last but not least, probably the most contentious part of this video will be I'm not going to be including multiple $1,000 items on this list. I get it. We've gotten some pretty cool Supreme things over the years, as recently as the Ducati motorcycle, but that bike was over $50,000 and almost impossible to get unless you knew somebody who knew somebody, as well as the Supreme camper and Honda dirt bike. I could go on. There's a plethora of Supreme items that I find to be extremely unattainable for the average Supreme collector, and I just don't find that to be as interesting as items that anyone can buy and just happen to be really cool. So I decided to leave those out of this video, but nonetheless, there are still tons of really cool expensive items Supreme has released, and of course you can put them on any number on your own personal list, but I decided to leave them off. Now let's get into the top 10 Supreme accessories of all time after a couple honorable mentions. First honorable mention is the Supreme Tall Boy Brown Bag, released back in 2012. Supreme simply gave you 5 brown bags that were about the size of a Tall Boy can of beer and printed the box logo on it. Pretty hilarious item and just screams 40s in New York. I don't know. I love this thing and it's very Supreme. Definitely was one of those items that people are like, okay, they're selling brown bags now. Well, it definitely gets crazier than a brown bag. Next honorable mention I had was every gold pennant necklace that they've released since like fall winter 2015. I think they have a couple ones that were before that even, but Supreme used to make this small gold logo pennant every single year. I miss these things, and they are extremely collectible today, with a Uzi pennant being the most sought after. You can see this one right here is gently used and the seller is asking $1,200. That is pretty standard, but unfortunately there are a decent amount of fakes of these out there. So I would just say watch out if you're trying to look for a new Supreme pennant. Next, we got the Supreme Everlast jump rope from fall winter 2014. I recently picked this thing up because I think it's just one of those items that's super cool. Filmed a short video with it that didn't get any views. Check it out if you want to. It was a little bit too artistic, I think, and I just didn't really shoot it that well. But anyway, I always thought this thing was really neat. It's with Everlast. I paid like $95 for this thing on eBay, which is totally goofy because it originally released for $32. But c'est la vie, if you want your hypebeast accessories to work out with, you gotta pay the toll. A more recent item that released that's also an honorable mention is this woven straw mat. You may have seen me in my many unboxing videos walking over this woven straw mat that sadly does not look this pristine anymore. I took this thing on a vacation to Hawaii back in 2020, probably only a few months after this thing released, because this was a spring summer 2020 item. I know I said I took a break from buying Supreme, but every time I look at the seasons, I'm like, oh yeah, I bought one thing this year. I bought an accessory accessory there. And that's how Supreme just kept me hooked, because they will release stuff like this. I think this mat is super dope. Had it on my porch for a bit. It's pretty beat to shit. I'd love to get a new one, maybe someday, but I'm in no rush. Definitely earned a spot on the list as an honorable mention. And last but not least, we do have the Supreme Myth Caribou OG ski goggles. These things are just pretty cool, man. I wear them, of course, every time that I go out skiing, and they're all right, dude. They're pretty sick. My buddy gave these to me when he was reselling Supreme. He says he has no idea if they're real or not, which is not a great thing to hear. So these could be my one fake Supreme item, but I don't really care ultimately that much. They do the job, and I'm not trying to pretend like I'm an OG flexer or anything, but maybe some of you in the comments could legit check me, bruh. Does that logo look good? I mean, the construction looks all right. The only thing that concerns me is I feel like the glass is the kind of giveaway. It doesn't really feel that hard, and I don't know. Does it ultimately matter? Not really. If it does what it needs to do and I didn't have to pay anything for them, you know, what's the worst case Ontario, bruh? We finished the honorable mentions. Now let's get into the top 10 list. These are the best Supreme accessories of all time. Number 10, the Supreme Brick. Boy, oh boy, did this thing cause a bunch of hullabaloo in the news when it released. Fall winter 2016, Supreme said, "Oh, you guys like bricks, huh? Oh, we'll give you a brick." And for 32 smackaroos, they sold us an 8.25 inch by 4 inch by 2.25 inch brick. And I've seen pictures of people using them in construction, laying them down with the rest of the bricks. I don't know. It's one of the funniest items of all time in his peak Supreme irony. And that's why we love the brick. It's so fun. You might hate it. Maybe you love it. I figured it definitely earned itself a spot on the list, so we put it in that number 10 spot. Today on StockX, you can purchase a Supreme clay brick for as little as $135, which is up quite a bit from its $30 retail. In my opinion, it's a must cop for any true hype beast. Number 9, the Supreme Crowbar. Releasing back in fall winter 2015, the crowbar was another one of those items that everyone heard about when it was coming out. Featuring the text "Shit Happens" along with Supreme's logo and New York, USA printed on it. This item was just hilarious, man.
Why does everyone want the crowbar?
Because it's a fucking crowbar. Are you fucking serious?
What are you gonna do with it?
Fucking nothing, but I'm gonna own a fucking crowbar now, so that's the fucking shit.
Not necessarily promoting burglary, but shit happens. 18-inch steel crowbar. It's an absolutely iconic accessory. One of those all red items with a small printed on logo that people went nuts for. I don't know why I didn't buy this crowbar. Probably because I was in college and I was poor, but it is what it is. I wish I had it, because nowadays these puppies will run you around $300. We don't have the retail posted here, but I want to say it was probably something like 60 bucks. I'm assuming I could find it in 2 seconds. This says $32 for the Supreme Crowbar, which seems insanely cheap, but perhaps that's it. What I can say is this crowbar is very iconic and earned its number 9 spot on the list. Number 8, the Supreme Money Gun. If you guys were around the streetwear scene back in 2017, you knew the hype beast era was in full force. People like Supreme Patty, Lil Pump, all the SoundCloud rappers were featured with this money gun, shooting it around in music videos, having a good time. Very popular on places like Instagram, viral Twitter clips, probably fucking world star hip hop for all I know. This item I think is super goofy, something I would never buy, but I couldn't not include it on the list. It's the Cash Cannon trademarked money gun with custom Supreme $1,000 bills, but I believe it still worked with regular money, of course. The ultimate flexer's dream for only 88 bucks retail, now selling on eBay for hundreds of dollars depending on which sellers you trust. Some people have it for as low as 200 bucks for this guy. Other people got it at $600, $300. You know how it is. You might have to track down your Supreme money gun if you want the best price possible. Number 7, the Supreme sandals. It just so happens that I'm wearing these very items as we speak. Yes, the Supreme sandals released back in spring, summer 2014. I even had a video of these on my YouTube channel that you guys can watch right now where you can see these sandals that are in a much better condition than they are today. These are probably the most embarrassingly beat Supreme item that I have. Look at that damage they've taken. I've had to super glue these things multiple times. They've fallen off from the sides. You can see that right there. But we're not talking about my personal pair because it is what it is. They're beat to shit. I've worn them for going on 11 years at this point, which is nuts to think about. Very cool item. I remember the drop, saw them coming out. I was like, I need sandals for the summer. And not every Supreme item has to be revolutionary. It's a slide. It's been done so many times before, but it says Supreme on it. It's cool. It came out in 2 different colors. I copped the black ones for a long time. I wish I had the red ones, but I was happy with the black ones. I remember my buddy in high school, who was also a little hype beast as well, he copped the red ones and I was like, that's cool. And back then it wasn't too much above retail to get yourself some Supreme sandals, but you know, today it's a very different story. If you want some Supreme sandals, you might be able to find some pre-owned pairs, but the brand new ones are a couple $100. Honestly, I think they're a pretty comfortable pair of sandals for what they're worth. They do say Supreme on the side with a little embossed hit there. I dig them quite a bit, but at the end of the day, they're probably not worth too much more than their original retail price. If you want sizing questions, go check out my original video because these don't even have a size tag anymore because they are so fucking beat. Number 6, the inflatable raft. I mean, here it is, boys. We're getting into the real quintessential Supreme accessories, really genre-defining pieces, releasing back in spring, summer 2013, right around the time I was getting into Supreme. This guy came out, and it's everything Supreme fans love about the brand. It's a giant box logo on something that's kind of cool, an inflatable raft. Like, fuck yeah, dude, let's go down a river and whitewater raft in our Supreme inflatable raft before we die. This item is great for collections, solid for resale stores, decoration, and of course, lounging in the pool on a hot summer's day. They are fairly expensive. This one, wow, 5 months ago, dropped down to $97, gently used, but fuck, man, I think this is a good deal. Yeah, you're gonna have some blemishes and imperfections, but better than paying fucking $500 or something for a pretty old Supreme item. Let's be real here, guys. By the way, the Supreme raft cost only $68 when it originally came out. Not too bad. We're keeping it aquatic with the number 5 spot. We have the Advanced Elements Pack Light Kayak. This fella released back in spring, summer 2018 for $500. It was packable, inflatable, came with a pump and an oar, 250 pounds maximum weight, 7 feet long. This thing is just so fucking cool, man. It's a kayak, dude, and you can pack it up and shrink it down, take it anywhere you want to go. The branding is excessive. It's hilarious. It's so Supreme. I just love this thing. Everything a Supreme accessory should be. Honorable mention goes to the O'Brien Life Vest that released on the exact same day. You love it. The safety first mentality, Supreme. I salute you as a former lifeguard myself. You gotta keep people safe in the water. Don't be letting them drown. So you put on your Supreme vest, you hop in your kayak, and you go on down the river. It's just a hype beast exploration adventure. I love every single part of it. And you can find the kayak for damn near retail. So if you guys are ever looking for one, they're not too expensive. You can find them on eBay Grailed for around $500-600. This one's good. Number 4, the NBA shooting sleeve. We're back to fall winter 2017, and Nike and the NBA released a dry fit compression sleeve that said Supreme on it, and people went freaking nuts for it. You had NBA players wearing them on the court, getting fines, getting warnings from their team that they couldn't wear it. But they're like, hey, it's got the NBA logo on it. It's got the Nike logo on it. Those are our sponsors. Why can't we wear them? It caused a whole hullabaloo. These were cheap, simple, wearable. What's there not to like? The branding was simplistic. It's got Supreme in giant letters. And on the other side, the NBA logo and the Nike logo. I believe they sold them as a pack of 2. I think it comes with 2, man. Yeah, you get a 2-pack. Not too bad at all. Very cool. I mean, it's literally the Nike item with NBA and Supreme branding. These are on the more expensive side now. They are pretty sought after. You can see some that are cheaper, maybe pre-used. I don't know if I'd want a pre-used shooting sleeve, but fuck it, man. The nice thing about accessories, guys, is usually they made a shit ton of them. So some prices, if people really don't want them anymore, can go down. I always say, when hunting for grails, just be patient. Don't find the dude with free shipping who's charging the most. Don't do it. This guy, 90 bucks 5 years ago, I'd give that a like and I'd send him an offer for like 60, 70. See what he says. If he hits you with an offer, accept it. You know, that's what I would do if I was going for any of these, but just some food for thought. Number 3, the Coleman mini bike. You guys know me. You know I love cars and anything with an engine on it. So of course the Coleman mini bike had to be on this list, releasing back in spring summer 17 for what Supreme Community has listed as $998. I remember it being around $500, but I could totally be wrong. This thing is super sick. I used to have a very similar Coleman 50cc bike back in the day that my dad bought me and my sister at Dick's Sporting Goods for like 250 bucks when we were kids. Loved that thing. We named it Modi. It was awesome. Gave me some freedom back in the day to fuck around and drive. I never had a dirt bike, never had a four-wheeler, but I had a Coleman mini bike, so I guess things weren't all too bad. This guy is just extremely collectible. You really can't find him anywhere for reasonable prices, and for good reason. It was one of the first kind of motorized Supreme items. They may have done 1 or 2 before this, but I really can't think of any because we've had the dirt bike and the motorcycle since. The mini bike, pretty damn iconic. And also spring summer 2017 again on this list. I didn't realize that I had 3 items from 2017, but it is what it is. They were cooking back then. What is that, a 196 CTU? Is that the same thing as CC? Volume of the engine? No idea, bro. It says ride or die on the side, all red, Supreme branding. Let's see if we can even find one of these for sale. They're very expensive. Here we go. Yeah, you got people asking $12,000, $6,500. Your best bet is to know somebody that has these and really doesn't want it, and just to get the homie hookup, because all reasonable prices are probably long and gone by now. And at the end of the day, boys, look at this thing. This guy has damage on his bike. I know what I got. And you know what? Fuck, maybe he does. Let's see what he says. Used and runs great. Meet up in Austin. Shipping available. All sales final. That is also the thing about these things. Shipping will be a bitch to have to do that. So I'd recommend picking it up in person if possible, or just saying, maybe I'll never have this Supreme mini Coleman bike and I think I'm gonna be okay. Number 2, the Supreme Everlast boxing gloves. One of my all-time grails that I recently passed up on eBay for an extremely good price that maybe was too good to be true, maybe it was fake, I don't know, but one day I will have my pair, my set of Everlast boxing gloves released all the way back in 2008. These are a 10-ounce Everlast boxing glove with lace-up technology. Ain't no buddy training strap here. I've always wondered how you can solo train with lace-up boxing gloves, just not wear them that tight. I don't know. Very simple item. We're looking at a Sotheby's auction from a few years back. They had every single colorway. We had red, we had black, and then I just love the fact they did blue. No, they didn't have to do it. They could have just done red and black. No one would have said anything. But Supreme boxing gloves, absolutely iconic. I really want to train in them at least once for a video, but I think ultimately having them hang up as decoration would be super sick. Maybe next like a Muhammad Ali poster. Who fucking knows? These are my little hype beast dreams. And then honorable mention also has to go to the Everlast leather heavy bag from spring summer 2016, which released at a staggeringly cheap $400. You can't even buy these nowadays, guys. I've tried to look everywhere on eBay. The Everlast heavy bags are like $10,000, which I don't think is a reasonable offer at all. I think these are probably worth $700 to $1,000, but they probably didn't release a ton and it's 9 years old. So damn it, sellers can ask whatever the fuck they want. Definitely a grail for me. Both the boxing gloves, the heavy bag, and the number 1 item on the list. Can you guess what it is? Comment down below if you think you can. And remember to like the video if you guys been enjoying. The last item, boys, should be a no-brainer. One of the most iconic name-dropped Supreme accessories of all time, from the one and only Tyler, the Creator himself. I'm talking, of course, about the Supreme nunchucks. Back in fall winter 2010, Supreme released a set of 2 black and red nunchucks, and like Napoleon Dynamite, I want to hone my nunchuck skills with these.
Nunchuck skills, bow hunting skills.
Specifically the red ones, of course. They'll always be there up on the list as a grail. I've seen people post them for sale. As someone on Reddit who has them. They look great just hanging like that. I would love to use them on an intruder. That would be the funniest thing ever, to take down some guy with some Supreme nunchucks. Crazier things have certainly happened. Might not be your favorite accessory, but for me, these had to be the number one item. How could they not be? Extremely iconic, and already were a couple years old whenever I got into Supreme, so they're already kind of a grail from a few years back. They've always been just out of reach. I could always go out and spend a bunch of money on them, and one day, maybe I will, but today is not that day. Today, they are crowned victorious as the best Supreme accessory of all time. Simple as that. The nunchucks, in my opinion, are my favorite. What you guys think of my top 10 list? There was plenty of items I know I couldn't cover. Ashtrays, I'm thinking. All those Supreme knives, the headbands, things like that. Everyone's gonna have their favorite items, and definitely drop some of yours in the comments down below. I love Supreme accessories. They're so much fun. From now until the day I die, if I go camping, I'm bringing my Supreme camp hammer to nail in my tent poles. And that's pretty funny. This thing's also got some nice weight to it. As I'm waiting for the nunchucks, this guy will have to do. I can't wait to see what accessories we are getting for spring summer 2025. You guys won't want to miss it. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed today. Comment down below what your favorite Supreme accessory of all time is, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.